Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2020. Griffin leads Sandbox 1-0 so far, but I know all you guys cared about were the back-to-back TFT ads. We were doo-doo-dungering so hard here on the broadcast. I had a lot of fun learning about this fresh new meme that you guys all have. And I'm just hoping that we get, like, for 30 minutes, that ad just rolling back to back. I reckon we can make it happen. What do you reckon after this match?
I really hope that we could make something like that happen, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think this is like, isn't this the dream scenario if you're a Twitch streamer, is to have people just want the ads over and over again?
Yes.
So
I think there's nothing else that one could possibly hope for.
So guys, just play the ad. Play the ad. Give the people what they want. We don't need to talk about this next game, do we? It's we could maybe we could play the actual game like in a small box at the bottom of the screen, and otherwise we'll just have the ad, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really, I think that you could just play it on repeat.
Yeah.
And I think it would easily become the most watched stream in the entire world.
I think so. I think that's the dream. That's the dream scenario. Or maybe just throw in some doo-doo-donga happening, just at random intervals so that people stay tuned. As Tarzan is going to pick up the player of the game. Both Ellis and I voted for this guy, so very happy that happened. His navigation of the early dive was fantastic, and then was able just to dictate the pace of the game over and over again. Honorable mention will go to Irove. His set support was very, very strong, and it felt like after this moment, there was never a time that Sandbox felt like they could actually stabilize.
Yeah, it's just basically after the early game and after a lot of the questionable decisions that Lonely ended up making, it was really hard for them to do anything. And also the Mountain Dragon is arguably the best that they could. Well, no, I guess Ocean Soul for them would probably be better. It would probably be the best Dragon Soul. But taking a look at this, it looks like we were the swing votes.
We were. And honestly, I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have minded. Honestly, if one of us voted for Irove and the other one voted for Tarzan and Irove got it, I would have been okay with that also. So, not bad at all. As far as the votes are concerned, I don't believe you guys could actually see them, but it was 5 out of 9 in favor of Tarzan, with the last 4 votes going over to Irove. So, both of them having really good games.
The green cast look, because it's always us and Sunke.
Yeah, that's true.
On the same page.
But now it's Caster John, so nope, not going to happen. Not this time around. That's one of the sad things about doing a remote broadcast. It means that we can't have a chat with the Korean casters beforehand. But that's okay, is what it is. And we're just staying safe to make sure that we are isolated and not going to be struck down by any sickness at this point in time. So far, we're doing okay. And as, gamers, being stuck at home ain't bad at all.
Well, it's definitely not bad at all. The remote cast, it seems to be going... Our mics are really good today, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't here for the trouble.
I mean, I was listening to the trouble.
Okay, you were.
Yeah.
Yes. But this time around, it seems like the audio guys...
I'm not going to lie to you.
Really
I did have a conversation to the audio guys about what they could do to fix the problem, and apparently it worked. So that's good.
All right.
There we go. Nailed it. And now, also, we nailed getting into Champion Select for game number 2. Griffin now over on the blue side, thinking about what they're going to ban away. For this particular game, I don't think we're going to be seeing any Sennas or Orns or Aphelioses, but after that, we'll see what's actually going to go down as the Elise taken away. And I believe there were no substitutions either, which is very interesting. Not going to see Summit's going to be Lonely back again. We're going to try and run it back and get things done. Is Varus once again going to be banned away? Curious that is going to be the consideration. Is Callista off the board as well on Sandbox's side?
What is Griffin going to be gunning for? They're banning Ornn on blue.
We've seen a lot of Ornn on blue bans, man. It's been a very strange scenario, as Griffin will first pick set, right?
And they're willing to, they're locking it in immediately, and they've already shown us that they have a willingness to flex it into multiple positions. And all right, well,
whoa, we're doing it again.
We're already starting things off a little bit rough here.
This is shaky.
Sandbox, as Aatrox and Jarvan.
The Jarvan's good. That's fine. The Aatrox, I don't know why. I don't know why we're doing that one right now. Maybe they just really like Oshag Hennessy. They want to get to his office as quick as possible. And that is the way to do
Sejuani
it.
now coming in, though. Griffin.
This is the Tarzan pickup. This guy plays off-meta Sejuani more than anybody else. Locks that one away. Yukal, what will he take for Griffin? I think an 80 carry makes a lot of sense because that pool has been thinned out. And the Kai'Sa, once again, for Viper is going to be his decision. So we could once again just see the Set and Kai'Sa lane on the bottom side of the map.
Well, Dove gonna have to decide maybe what he wants to lock in right now, as the Kai'Sa does dissuade a backline kind of protection. As currently as it stands, if Sandbox tries to pivot into... Okay, there it is. The Dove locking in Azir, but what I was trying to talk about is how Kai'Sa is really good at answering the frontline mode that Sandbox has right now, paired with the Set and the Sejuani.
Yep.
And if Sandbox tries to pivot into the Azir backline sort of control-y style, Kai'Sa's mode of being able to reach it is really valuable. It's not as easy to just protect Azir against her. So, Griffin coming out swinging B1 through B3 with a massive edge.
We also know that
as
Yukal is very good at playing anti-Azir champions as well. The Aurelia has been banned away. That is certainly one that he's been able to play in the past. And his assassin play, the play that's very anti-Azir, is certainly in Yukal's wheelhouse. So I'm excited to see what he's actually going to bring out here against Sandbox, as the second ban will be the LeBlanc, trying to protect Dove as much as possible. Remember, Dove is named after this champion, so should be able to get some work done, but wasn't able to in game number 1. Now trying to run it back for game number 2 as 80 carries continue to bite the dust. Root, what are you going to play now? Is it Sivir time? It might be, because there's just not a lot of 80 carries left.
well,
Caitlyn? Maybe Caitlyn's the next one?
let's see. I mean, Sivir would make a bit of sense with their team composition. Also, it is historically paired a lot. Now, that is making me think that we could be seeing a hyper carry, but they want to make sure that the stars sort of align for it. But no matter what, it's already off theme with what the Aatrox and Jarvan are trying to do. All Griffin needs to do is stay on theme with their picks, allow the Kai'Sa the backline access, have more of a mid-rangey lineup paired with the Set and the Sejuani. Taliyah does that very
Yukal.
well.
This is also Yukal's champion as well, absolutely.
Yes. Taliyah was initially the champion that rose to power to sort of throw the Azir and Victor Empire off kilter in 2016, if you want to remember that meta.
That was back when her Q was a little bit more AoE than it is now, but still, she does function the same way as Hoya. Back to the Lucian once again. Still, theoretically, some sort of a flex possibility here between...
I think we're going to see a hyper.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
looking
looking
like
forward to it.
Kog'Maw
I'm
or
hoping
Jinx
that
or something.
Root does do something more interesting.
Cog or Jinx? One time. Kog'Maw or Jinx. Jinx can stand her ground, as can Kog'Maw against Kai'Sa. Vayne is not the hyper I was thinking of. All right, you know what? Griffin wins this draft, Atlas.
All right, well, you're expecting another quick one, as our first series today was very, very fast, and now looking at a possible Griffin 2-0. Space Vayne versus regular Vayne is going to be interesting to see. And we have seen Vayne picked into Kai'Sa a few times. It was certainly something that, people do like to do, but we'll see whether it's going to work out here for Sandbox, because this time, I mean, it is a Vayne that's set up to succeed, right? Because you've got the Devour, you've got the extra safety on top of all your mobility that you already have. But I think the range scenario is a rough one, and all of Griffin's catch potential is just really scary. So we'll have to see whether Sandbox can navigate the laning phase to a point where they can get themselves comfortable and happy. As you may have heard a little sound in the background there, that was my cat jumping down from the windowsill. Don't worry, everything's okay.
Not a big deal. We're working with it. Remote broadcast and everything. Let's take last look at the team composition. Lucian, Sejuani, Taliyah, Kai'Sa, and Set versus Aatrox, Jarvan, Azir, Vayne, and Sir Thomas Kench. As The team composition for Griffin just has so much more mobility, gears available, different modes, hard engage, and also slipperiness that makes it so that Aatrox and Jarvan don't have a really clear path. Also, why is there a Vayne against all short-range champions with heavy engage? Now, you might think Vayne's very good at shredding through them. These are champions that are very good at killing Vayne.
Well, we'll see whether this is something that Root can outplay. Remember, he's used to having a team on his back. He was a Gen AD carry, much like our good friend Teddy. So he might be able to do it here, and he is on a champion that is certainly known to. But is it going to be our team's Vayne or their team's Vayne? That is the question. I think the Vayne spotting needs to be on point here today to work out who is going to be able to take out game number 2 and bring us to a decider, or finish it very early. As now my cat's invaded the entire commentary station, so if I'm distracted, that is because there is an animal in the way of the stream.
Well, TFT Mobile. The best animal is actually Pengu.
Dudu dongo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means in Korean, but it's amazing. And I want to know so that I can use it in regular speech. I go down to the convenience store and try and order one. I just don't know. As Hoya's having a bit of a dance, we're seeing whether Griffin can turn their stars around, because honestly, things have been going awfully. The bottom of the ladder right now, their beginning to the split was honestly awful. But now, after a decent performance in game number 1 and shades of the old Griffin, this could be their time to turn things around, much like KT did, and escape that relegation zone and increase their footing for the summer season. Remember, I believe Spring isn't worth as much, as well as Root is already having to flash. Viper flashes after him, doesn't get the kill. So no summoner spells available for either bottom lane, but Griffin are still able to stay in the lane.
The thing is that Vayne is recalling immediately at level 1. Doesn't even have enough built up in-game passive gold accumulated in order to get a potion. So rushing right back down into bot lane, Viper is just going to be so far ahead. Autos the turret. Don't know why, actually wasting a lot of time in doing that. Should have just immediately recalled.
Yeah.
He started running back. He would have been able to purchase boots and then just get back into the lane, and you'll pull wave 3, 4, and 5, and it's really good. Vayne and Tom don't have spells available. Iroh starting things off with that flash. Actually clicked backwards. Would have been able to initiate one more auto attack. Root still would have lived, but no matter what, the lane state is so favorable, and because Viper actually wasted some time running up to the turret, autoing it and whatnot, I think he had to cancel his recall or end up risking.
Whoa, that's a flash from Iroh, but the shifting sands are going to answer it very easily. Iroh giveth, Iroh taketh away, but I like the aggressive playstyle from this young support player for Griffin.
Was a Hex Flash used.
Ah, that's
Couldn't
true.
quite close the distance in mid lane. As Iroh now pathing back down into bottom. We'll see what he... Oh, Dark Harvest. That's the minigame, Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
If you can ever end up proccing it, it amplifies every single other rune that you have for the remainder of the game. So you want to make sure that when you have Omnistone, you're getting those Dark Harvest stacks up as much as you can.
And another Hex Flash from Iroh. Completely trolled by it earlier on. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But that one we managed to figure out. Second time's the charm, I guess. But Iroh just desperately looking for some of these stacks. As he does spot punch. Good knockup is going to come through there as Iroh already down to half health. Tongue Lash, the only other offering of damage, though.
And so Iroh is going to manage to live. This is going to waste a lot of time on the Jarvan. We take a look at everything that's really transpiring here, and Sejuani is actually ahead of Jarvan on camps. Finishing up the left-hand side Scuttle Crab right now. Talia in a fantastic spot in mid lane. Getting the leg up over the Azir. Azir obviously about to come back into mid lane. It is a cannon minion, so Dub does only miss 2 CS, so it is a nice recall timer. Null Magic Mantle as well as a dagger picked up, but Yukal looking to convert this into a dive with Sejuani. Doesn't know about Jarvan. Gonna get the bad news right now, but let's see what they can do.
Yep, does get the flash out immediately from Lonely, who is definitely dead. First blood going over to Yukal on his famous Talia, and punch, nothing he can do whatsoever. Oh, another Hex Flash.
all of the lanes right now for Sandbox are just falling so far behind. You take a look at Lonely. He's now missing Flash against Hoya, and Hoya has the solution. Doesn't have enough gold for Ninja Tabbies up there in top lane. Just has the cloth armor and boots level 1. So Vampiric Scepter, Refillable Potion, Doran's Blade up there for the Lucian. He's going to be in total control of the lane. The other problem with this is that Jarvan is now doing his golems into his wraiths, which means that he's going to be departing from the top side of the map, which means that Aatrox is now going to be alone and isolated with Hoya on that Lucian up in top, who's going to have the freedom to do whatever they want. This is really scary, especially because UCal is getting his reset off right now, so Punch can't look for anything in mid lane either. And now everyone's basically playing with map packs against Punch on this Jarvan. Sejuani's getting to coast into the mid game for free. Lost Chapter recall for Talia is going to allow her to play an embargo game here against Dove in mid. Griffin are just smashing this early game, even though the gold score is only 1,000 gold. Remember, they have a better team comp.
Yeah. As we check out this replay here from Yukal's perspective, I believe didn't even throw out a seismic shove that he really cared about there. Yeah, didn't even need it. As he just picks up the first blood, that's going to secure that last chapter like you were talking about. Sorry, the lost chapter. Last chapter not in this game. That is a Yuumi ability. But yeah, he is certainly going to be able to have all of the control necessary in this mid lane. Corrupting Potion and some brown bags also on top of it, with a couple of biscuits still chilling there, is now Tarzan. Gonna face check 3 people, but they're not going to be able to take him down. Just uses a ward instead of his face. And Hoya continues to shove towards the top side. And Jarvan just not really being able to be impactful so far this game. Griffin, it feels like they're using the momentum so well.
He's not able to really find anything. It's really difficult to set up ganks in the early stages with who his laners are. You think about it, it's Vayne and Tahm Kench against Set and Kai'Sa. And even though the Set and Kai'Sa might try to make fights happen, well, let's take a look at this. Dove.
Yep, Facebreaker does come in, but Dove uses the Emperor's Divide, gets himself to safety, holds onto his summoner spells. Iroh only throwing out the Ignite in that scenario, still has his regular flash available, and I'll try and keep track of it. As Gorilla finds Tarzan, but I just don't know whether Sandbox actually has anything they can offer, as Punch has to flag and drag his way out. And Iroh, with a Predator, at pretty good timing, he's able to work some things out as Hoya, taking a fair bit of damage here against Lonely, who threw down the World Ender, able to even out that health trade, but that is an R button in trade for R button up towards the top side, but Hoya still has flash.
Yeah, and also Hoya, even though there was a lot of sustained damage there, he's the one with the Vamp Scepter, with the Doran's Blade. He's able to regen a lot of his HP, missing some minions, though, under no pressure.
Nope.
And not even going to actually escort that minion wave in, respecting the fact that they know that Jarvan's pathing back topside. There's the camp reset timers. And even if they didn't see Jarvan explicitly take them, they can know, based on when they last saw him, and just how the game has been played out the last couple of minutes, exactly where he would be going to. So Lucian does recall, picks up Dagger and Bilgewater Cutlass. And once Lucian gets that Blade of the Ruin King, the lane forever changes for quite a while. As you can see, Lonely, he's still stuck in this lane. He doesn't want to recall right now because Lucian has such fast wave clear and there's no teleport available. So this would mean that it converts into turret plates and just extends the advantage for Hoya. He's going to be able to get level 8. Now, the one good thing here is Tier 2 boots plus Umbral Dashes getting back to lane on a cannon wave means that he doesn't miss a lot of minions. Only 1 melee right now. Don't even think he's actually going to miss 2. And they're going to convert this pressure into a Herald Capture, and then that should go right into Azir's mid-tier 1 turret.
And we'll see whether Sandbox can actually find a way of dissuading them from this one, because that is certainly the predictable way of playing this particular moment out. Sandbox should understand that that is going to be their idea. What they've decided to do is move their bottom lane up towards topside, but it might be a little bit late as Lonely's already bullied out of this lane. It's a decent knock up there onto Iroh, and you can see Sandbox, Punch, and Gorilla making their way in. But Yukal just playing Gatekeeper, does get knocked up here by Punch. Heal has to be utilized, as there's the Cataclysm onto 4 members. Dove trying to get in there. Emperor's Divide unable to be used, though, as everyone on Griffin gets themselves out of the Cataclysm. And Root is just doing Vayne things. He's down towards the bottom side by himself, just trying to split push, getting himself towards his first couple of items. Blade of the Ruin King, of course, being the first one. We'll see where he goes for the second.
Yeah. This will be interesting to see. Turret plate doesn't end up actually going down in mid. Luden's Echo almost actually picked up by UCal. He's very close to it. And because of the way that Dove itemized by picking up that Null Magic Mantle, he has stunted his rush into Nashers. As you can see, Lonely is actually checking for Lucian. Not going to find it, and this might be a guillotine.
Yep, the alcove play going to come in here. Lonely, no idea of what's going on. Now just going to try and clear out the minion wave, but Hoya does find all of those autos. Tarzan, he has the ultimate available. He won't have to use it, guys, as Lonely's walking the wrong direction. Gets a fair bit of healing, but honestly, it feels like a matter of time. Face check does have to come in as Hoya's in point-blank range, but it doesn't matter. 2 versus 1, all too easy, and Griffin 2-0 now as far as their scoreline.
And they're going to use this turret plate. I assume top lane Lonely does have teleport available, but it doesn't matter. They're going to take the second turret plate and then summon the Rift Herald. You do this because the Rift Herald does true damage, so you want it to fire off once, not start getting hit by the turret, and then fire off again one more time onto that top tier 2. So Boy is going to shove this in, and they're just so far ahead right now, and this makes me really sad, Alice. And
Why?
The thing that makes me sad is Sandbox willing to pick Aatrox 2 games in a row, and the best Aatrox, potentially even in the world, is actually Summit.
Mm-hmm.
It feels bad man moment.
That is quite sad. I agree. I don't know what's happened to Summit. I assume that there is an explanation there if Sandbox want to give it to us, but unfortunately we haven't really heard why Summit has been taking such a long rest. Maybe just needed a break, sort of Uzi style. You know, Uzi known to take off Spring just so that he can come through and carry Summit with a more well-rested approach. Might be what Sandbox are deciding to do, but honestly they need a savior as soon as possible. Because right now, losing to the bottom place team in the LCK is not where you want to be sitting. As right now, able to shove out this wave towards the bottom side. The Vayne not too far behind, but Space Vayne certainly winning in that department. A bit of a departure from the Kai'Sa build that we normally see with the AP Kai'Sa. More of the AD variety coming in here this game. Just trying to maximize UCal's damage, I guess, as we move towards the mid game. Looks like a Super Soaker going to come in for him. And yeah, Essence Reaver on the Kai'Sa this time around. So where he goes with his next items, we'll just have to find out.
Yeah. We shall definitely have to see what is going on as Griffin, they are really far ahead at this stage of the game. Cloud Dragon coming up second. We talk about it very often here on the broadcasts. In most cases, getting it second or first is generally the best, because then you do have a very impactful Dragon Soul.
Yep.
So if you are a Griffin fan, the soul that you're looking for here is probably Infernal, all things considered, because there is a lot of sustained damage, plus you have the true damage coming out of Vayne. So the Mountain doesn't really do a whole bunch in that regard. I mean, it still does a lot, but obviously, Infernal just helps you shred right through them.
Well, Sandbox are in position to try and keep this one as a 50-50, but Weaver's Wall is going to deny it entirely. Punch not even wanting to go in with the Flag and Dragon to try and get that 50-50 opportunity, but now Lonely has found Hoya. He's going to get knocked up as Tarzan finds the ultimate. Infernal Rift is down as Hoya's trying to run away. The last lick from Gorilla is going to do it, and Sandbox have destroyed Griffin on their way out of the Dragon Pit. Brilliant stuff, and this may give them an opportunity back into this game.
Yeah, it definitely will. 4.5 minutes until the Infernal Dragon comes up next. Griffin, they had a lot of standing gold on the map right there, and Lucian ended up, he actually flashed in a really bad way that allowed Dove to go over the wall and reissue the re-engage. So definitely a bit surprising. Just pay attention to this. You can see that Hoya and Tarzan actually waste a lot of crucial time dancing around in the pit, not being at the left-hand side. Lucian could flash south over into the Golem pit, and Tarzan doesn't have flash, can't follow, which would have made everything a lot cleaner for Griffin to disengage here. Now, they're still ahead at this stage of the game. They're still up 2,000 gold, better team composition, all things considered, and Infernal Dragon was the one that was rolled. So
The next fight is the big one, right?
It is. The next fight is absolutely massive in this game.
Well, Infernal Soul, possibly with 4 stacks of Infernal Drake for Sandbox if they're able to get to it. There is light at the end of this tunnel for the Sandbox squad, but it is still an uphill battle at this stage. You can see how far behind Root is on this Vayne. Still doesn't have his Blade of the Ruin King completed. Essence Reaver is done now for Viper, now looking for his second item. We'll see what that is going to be. I like looking at Ballista builds just because there's so many different options, given the fact that she basically uses everything pretty well, apart from, I guess, tank items. But Hoya does still have the majority of the gold on this map, and he's still a force to be reckoned with as Tarzan looking to take down Shirley here at 15.5 minutes.
Well, Lost Chapter is still actually not complete. We see an Amp Tome picked up.
Interesting.
By Talia, which is a little surprising. Maybe UCal is thinking about going into GLP 800 instead of just completing the Ludens.
I thought a Super Soaker might be what he was deciding to head towards. That was my initial thought, but it's interesting. Decided to complete boots before even deciding his first item, as there's the flash for ult trade. Good news for Griffin as the Abyssal Voyage does come in to try and get Tahm Kench available, but no, it's not going to really work out as Shirley is able to deal with that turret very, very well. The culling just destroys the Aatrox. Lonely in transition, unable to do anything, and now he's Lonely in the Death Chamber. 2,000.2 gold is going to be the lead for Griffin, and 2 minutes on that next Infernal Drake. It's a huge fight, and it's looking worse and worse for Sandbox.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Luden's Echo is completed now, actually, by UCal. He does have a Amp Tome as well as a Ruby, so we'll have to see if that's Taunting Guys or Oblivion Orb. Obviously, Oblivion Orb super good against the Vayne Aatrox as it currently stands. Other targets do have magic resistance. It's not like magic resistance invalidates it, but there is a minute and a half until the Infernal Dragon, so perhaps actually just getting the orb is a lot better for damage as it currently stands.
Yeah, that sidestep.
Take a look at the replay.
Really nice.
Pay attention to this. Evaporated right out of the air.
And that was blind as well at that stage. We're going to check out the pro view of it as the sidestep is just amazing. And yeah, no, they did have vision because the culling gave a little bit. So able to spot him out and take him down, but now he might be taken down. Nope. Lonely going to have to back away. Root going to turn up, maybe a little bit late. Wanted to try and get that Condemn into the wall. Should be able to do so. Gets it very nicely. Good night, Hoya. Root grabs that kill, and just overextended is the Lucian on the top side. And the Vayne getting the kills is exactly what Sandbox wants.
Yeah, Vayne getting the kill is super big. 30 seconds until the Infernal means that Lucian actually doesn't have a whole lot of time to get there, unless he would elect to use his teleport there. It also helps the Aatrox sort of stabilize, tries to close up the CS deficit as Sandbox there really pushing in mid lane. 2,000 gold lead for Griffin.
Yep.
As it currently stands. Infernal is super important. UCal, I think he wants to just take that blue, but they might TP and Lucian and take a fight.
I think he's out of... Yeah, no, he's going to be taking the blue. He was out of vision entirely. As you could see, Griffin had a lot of control of the vision on that side of the map. Now UCal is... Mana bar will be regenning. He does need a lot more of that to come back in. Tarzan clears out vision as well. The Infernal Drake, this fight is going to be so important, and Sandbox trying to jockey for position around this area. Voidseeker doesn't find the target. Lonely in a decent position for a flank as in goes Punch. He's going to start off this fight as Dove take him down to about 2/3 health. That is going to be the only reward they're going to be able to reap at this particular stage.
He also did use one of his smite charges, which is something that could be a little bit scary, as he might not have that available to him. They can see UCal looking for a seismic shove. This is really the do-or-die team fight. We talked about this a couple of moments ago. Gold deficit, about 2,500 in favor of Griffin. Not sure how much standing gold is present, but Sandbox have been on the map for a really long time, so I would actually wager they have more of it sitting in their inventory than Griffin does. Raptor camp taken down. They have such a good angle. I'm actually really surprised they're not just starting the dragon. UCal doesn't even know that there is a control ward over there. He might go and
Yeah, they just haven't
Check
checked
it,
it
no.
for a really long time. Maybe just assuming that they had beforehand, but they haven't. Now Sandbox looking to try and collapse on the two members whose positions they do know, but all of the vision's still there for
one of the
Griffin.
control wards.
Yeah, we'll find it eventually. There we go. Now should be Griffin able just to turn onto the Infernal Drake. I wonder why they're playing so carefully.
Sir Thomas does end up sending out his tongue. They see Aatrox right now. They are playing so careful. Seems like both of these teams actually understand how crucial this dragon is. And it's not just the stats that's the most important, because if you're Sandbox, you definitely can live with, you know, a couple of members losing some HP inside of a team fight. It's the fact that it brings it to Infernal Soul.
Oh, yeah.
So, lots of posturing. Sandbox does seem to be winning the high ground, but the low ground is usually what is most important here. Viper gonna try to shove out this wave immediately. He's gonna lose some of his HP in doing so. Irove managed to get a recall off during all of this. So, the standing gold for Sandbox is definitely much greater than that of Griffin right now, I would assume, as Tarzan taking a lot of damage. Irove looking for a flank, has Electrocute, which is a pretty sick rune to have in a fight like this.
Not a bad one. Tarzan didn't take anything at all, really, just walking into 4 people, but he's not the target that they're wanting to go for on Sandbox's side. And now the Cheetah Recall going to come in for Gorilla, and instantly Tarzan has started off this Drake. You can see Abyssal Voyage is available, so Gorilla can get back here a little bit earlier than you'd otherwise expect, but it looks like Sandbox, they're just going to give this one up, and now Infernal Soul Point over to Griffin for absolutely free.
And, I mean, how didn't you see that coming, Atlas? I mean, 5-head wine glass for sure.
Yeah, I apologize.
Of course that was going to be the inevitable dance.
Yeah, should have known. This River Ram always going to end in an absolute kerfuffle on the Sandbox side, and Griffin were always just going to be able to take them for free. It's not what I was expecting. Absolutely not.
All right, well.
Anticlimaxes aside, though, it is still only 2,500 gold the lead for Griffin. And despite having the Infernal Soul point, there is still 4.5 minutes before the Infernal Soul is actually available. So maybe one more opportunity for Sandbox to find themselves a team fight, but if they lose that one, it's pretty much done and dusted. As Root looking for his Rage Blade, we've got a double pen after the Nash's Tooth done for Dove. We'll see whether he builds his Morellonomicon or whether he's going to move on to another item. Looks like it might be something like a Banshee's Veil as the next one, as that Null Magic Mantle is still sitting there in his back pocket. We'll see where he decides to go. It's just
We should definitely see.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say that it's just a worrying time to be a Sandbox fan, because I just don't know what you're supposed to do as Sandbox at this point. I feel like Griffin are about to scale better than them and have so much more control than them, as there's the superplex into the backline. Punch in a whole host of trouble, but does flag and drag his way out. Gorilla tanking a lot. There's the Emperor's Divide, does get the rest of Griffin repositioned, but Viper off into the backside. He's got a wall to try and peel, but no, the Sand Soldiers just rip him in half. And Root's able to grab a double kill off the back end. The flash out from Punch as Hoya tries to get it, but he can't pick up the kill. The Triumph will keep Punch alive, and that is going to be the ace, and Sandbox have turned this game on its head.
Sandbox completely turned that around. Punch able to escape from that trap, and that was a very reckless team fight by Griffin that really just swings the balls back into Sandbox's favor. And take a look at this Cataclysm come out to escape. Hoya wasn't here, and also Lonely with a much better teleport. Yukon failed his flash into the Baron Pit. That's where he wanted to be for all of his damage, and instead, such an awkward angle inside of this team fight, and Lonely eventually got onto him. Hoya also got trapped. Didn't actually use his flash as best as he could have, and so now the gold lead is all but gone. What that means for follow-up team fights, we'll have to see. There's not a lot of standing gold, actually, though, on the map for Sandbox to claim. There's the top tier 1 turret. And the problem is that even still, in a straight-up real team fight where all the members of Griffin are there, they're still favored, despite the Baron buff, because not everyone on the side of Sandbox has Baron, I don't believe.
No, I think they all do. I think the death timers were short enough for everyone to be able to pick it up. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Doesn't seem like Tom Kench has it. Azir has it.
Yeah.
And, okay, actually, everyone does have Baron, but you can see they're being very cautious. Kaiser comes in. Holy moly, guacamole.
Good night, Gorilla. He doesn't have flash available, but now Root throws down the ultimate, condemn into the wall, but maybe this is the Vayne spotting we were looking for. It absolutely is, as the bottom lane have been removed and sentenced to the death chamber, as Griffin now have taken back the momentum very swiftly.
Okay. So the Baron turnaround was very short-lived, Atlas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could tell that you were getting excited, but KT already played.
They did. They won 2-0. So I was being rewarded for being excited. You know?
Exactly.
Look at this Baron power play. Chilling at negative 300.
Minus 300. Yeah. We're actually counting down to the TFT mobile ad.
Dodunga. It is very fun to say. It's just a great, really good stuff. We're going to check this out. Not so great on the Sandbox side. And look at this. Root has in his mind, it is time. It is time to do the Vayne spotting. And it's Vayne's time to shine, you know, like all of our Vaynes in solo queue do decide to do. But it's our team's Vayne. He went from their team's Vayne to our team's Vayne so quickly in those past 7 or so minutes. But he's got a QSS. He's got a fair few items. And Iroh going to get auto-attacked by Punch, but otherwise is going to be absolutely fine. So 30 seconds on this prospective Baron buff. It is still on 3 members of Sandbox. And now they're going to try and deny this Infernal Drake.
Iroh looking for a very deep flank. He also has a cat with him.
Knows that he's been spotted on this ward. This Punch is going to move on over. There's the Abyssal Voyage. Iroh gonna get knocked up, but the Gorilla and Root do have to take the long way around. Cataclysm puts Iroh in the baby cage. He uses his stopwatches. Now Tarzan moving in from the side. Hoya is going to get there, but Iroh already dead. Tarzan down to half health. 4 versus 5, but you can see Sandbox haven't even been softened at all because it's only the support that was there to try and get any initial damage.
And I can't imagine that Tarzan will go for the... Oh, he might. Oh.
What?
Condemned.
Yeah, condemned out of it. That looked very, very strange, but the ward over the wall was enough to give them vision, and Root said, nope, you are not entering this pit whatsoever. Now Sandbox are trekking towards their 4 Infernal Drakes that they want to get to. 47 minutes, guys. Wait for it.
Well, let's just pay attention to what happened here. Iroh looking for a miracle flank. Ended up just getting trapped. Didn't really have a way out. Went for the superplex. Wasn't able to get the haymaker. Even if he did, there was no way to follow up from that angle. And so, really just being a little bit overzealous with the positioning that he was looking for, and ended up getting punished by Sandbox. Now, Lucian is waiting for his 3rd item completion. Talia as well, very close to having it. We look at the levels across the board. Even in top lane, 2 level disparity actually. In the jungle in favor of Punch. 80 carries, even supports, actually favoring Gorilla. And so in that department, things are looking pretty good, although Viper did just ding level 15. Vayne actually only 14 and 14.4, 14.5.
Yeah.
So we're now waiting for another Baron Dance and an Infernal Drake.
Well, minute and 20 on the Baron until that one is going to come up. Griffin do have Scuttle Vision on that area, so unable to be cleared by Sandbox, who do have this momentary time of control of the map. You can see all of their control wards towards the top side. They also have one towards the bottom side as well. 5 on the map, exactly what you want. And Dove is going to clear out this top wave. I think that Sandbox do have this brief window where they are just clearly stronger, because Viper is still waiting for his Rage Blade, which is going to be 3-item spike. You mentioned the Infinity Edge already from Hoya. Like, there are big item timings to come in for Griffin quite shortly. But they're not there yet, and now is the opportunity for Sandbox to really capitalize.
Yeah, and that's what they're going to need to do, so we shall have to see what is going to end up unfolding here. As it's only... the gold score doesn't really matter that much right now. It mostly just has to do with paying attention to the items coming in. Now, Pickaxe and Crit Cloak sitting on Hoya, you have to wonder how much gold is in his inventory, how close is he to the Infinity Edge, because that's a really big item completion.
Oh, yeah.
For the Lucian, and Kaisa now with the new little build going on here, Essence Reaver, Guinsu's Nashers has been picked up.
Yeah, he does have the Ginsus now, though. So that is one of the item spikes that we were talking about. And we're getting a little bit further away from Sandbox having that sort of clarity moment where the clouds have parted. Is Tarzan going to get missed by that knockup? Punch now out of position, going to get devoured, but that's now going to be on cooldown. He really wants to be able to use that en route, does Gorilla. But going to have to wait for that long cooldown to be back up again. It will clear out all of this vision where he can find it. As Griffin find themselves some momentary time with Baron Vision. Short-lived though, it's Root now back towards this mid lane, clearing things out. Has himself a Zeal, looking for that third item. Whether it be the double lifesteal and Mercurial Scimitar, or just one of the crit-based items built out of his Zeal. Let's see where he goes. I think the Zeal item is going to come in next. Okay, Abyssal Voyage towards the top side. They're looking for Irove, but they just wanted to be able to clear out the camps.
They didn't actually kill the blue trinket that was at the brush. Irove not bothering to answer it. Now we're going to have some recalls coming in. Kaisa, let's see what she ends up picking up. Maybe a Fiendish Codex. No, actually, going to get a Crit Cloak. So not going to be going into the AP variation, as Phantom Dancer now complete on Vayne as well. So 80 carries. For the most part, pretty much even in the item inventory. Not sure how far away Azir is from Banshee. Actually has it. So everyone is pretty much even in terms of items in this game right now. And the scary thing about that is that it really comes down to Azir versus Talia. And who can manage to do what? Set also a lot more valuable than the Tahm Kench in a straight up team fight. But if Griffin tries to get too overeager and hard engage, then Tahm Kench will definitely outshine him and provide a lot more value. Root, I feel like he was trying to solo Baron. I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, he decides to pull away from that one. Doesn't lose too much of his health bar as Hoya now potentially out of position, not going to get knocked up by Lonely. Tarzan and Viper are off to the side. Tarzan again avoiding one of these flag and drag knockups. Is Irove with Phase Rush now armed due to his Omni Stone, but now Griffin, their opportunity for the Infernal Soul. Sandbox grouped as 5 in position. Tarzan wanting to get over this wall, decides to pull the trigger as the culling goes basically into nowhere, but Lonely still getting chunked out. The first kill goes over to Sandbox, and Lonely keeping himself so healthy in this fight. Everett Divide onto 2 on the bottom side as Vayne's picked up the kill. A second one to come down. Now Tarzan will be the third, but it's Dove that steals that one away. And ace again for Sandbox, and they're looking to just run it down mid.
And I think they're just going to be able to end the game. The death timers are way too high.
My goodness.
40 seconds on absolutely everyone. And that's the kind of team fight you don't want to take. Griffin really punted this game away at several points. And you're going to give credit to Sandbox for holding on as long as they did.
That ain't bad at all, but it's not going to be enough.
Die.
And that is dead Nexus turrets. Congratulations to Sandbox. That bounce back was just amazing. They were losing for a game and a half, and then were able to reset that mental and bring us to a match point. Really clean stuff from Sandbox. In the end, it wasn't clean at the beginning, but it was certainly able to get things done in the team fights towards the back end of that game. So congratulations to Sandbox. We'll see whether they can do it again in game number 3.
Well,
now the big question,
really having
the game.
a lot of value there with the Azir inside of that game. We're going to finally get to another TFT mobile ad.
Oh, that's
which
true.
Is another
More
highlight. Right. So, I mean, the other thing that you got to give credit to Sandbox for is that this now gives us 2 more commercial breaks. So those are more TFT mobile ads.
Yeah, Sandbox did it for the people. That's why they lost game 1. That's why, LS, your prediction was ruined. It was just so that we could get more Dodongo.
Exactly. This series is really the death of my predictions here in Week 6.
Yeah, but the uprising of TFT Mobile. 100%.
Sure.
Let's have a look at this team fight towards the end of the game. The Vayne in position. It felt like, you know, Griffin had found the angle that they wanted, but Viper diving right into the enemy was just not really what she wanted. And she's in the baby cage, had to flash, but Root was there with all the damage.
And we'll see what else ends up happening, as that was a completely clean ace at the final team fight. I gave my vote over to Dove.
Yep.
On the Azir.
Yeah.
He turned around many fights. And you have to feel bad if you're Hoya this game. Lonely got put 6 feet under, and it just didn't matter. And the other thing is that Griffin, they were so far ahead in this game. It's so surprising. And it started over 2 really unfortunate timed fights. There was the one at the Tri-Brush where UCal failed his flash, as well as Hoya messing up mechanically a lot, and that ended up giving Baron over to Sandbox. And this right here, they postured way too long at the Infernal, or leading up to the Infernal. Ended up having a couple of kills going over, and then Iroh, if you recall, got caught out just before the Infernal spawn.
And teamfights aren't really what Griffin wanted to be doing this game, you know? They wanted to be trying to play the Cloak and Dagger using Weaver's Walls to allow them to lock down objectives, which they were able to do in the early game. That's why it looked so one-sided. But then you get these Emperor's Divides that really destroy the 5-on-5 situation that honestly Griffin shouldn't even be trying to find this game. They had to, though, and they felt like they were ahead far enough to be able to guarantee it, but it just wasn't the case. And when a Vayne gets to this point, it is very hard, unless she does this, to try and get yourself the victory. This wasn't so good. This is the bad part. Yeah.
Definitely very strong. And that means that we are going to game number 3. This is Iroh getting caught out. Ended up using the suplex forward. Didn't have flash, didn't have any way to follow up on anything. And this was another one of those team fights where things just got very reckless. Iroh didn't even actually land his haymaker anywhere. And everyone was just on a different page inside of this team fight. Dove with a phenomenal Shurima shuffle, able to do so much inside of this fight. They never gave Talia and the Kaisa what they wanted to achieve inside of these team fights, playing way too reckless.
And I mean, look at that. It was a game that was in Griffin's hands for the entirety, basically. Wasn't until the very end where Sandbox were able to actually take over the gold lead. So really nice from Sandbox, but honestly, it felt more like a Griffin throw this time around. And we'll see whether they can reset and move into game 3 with a clearer mind. Because honestly, these sorts of losses are the ones that hurt the most. And so the big test now, especially for Hoya, who's sort of the newest member of this team, it's really hard to reset that. And if he can, that is great news for Griffin. And if Sandbox can win, then they've really changed their fortunes here moving into round 2, which is also good news for them. So there's a lot on the line here for this third game, and we'll see who's going to be able to take it after some Dodonga. You looking forward to it?